Hello, my lovely friends. It's Emma from Just a Girl Who Loves Elvis. And today, we're going to slow everything down. Not rush, not explain, not analyse. Just be. Some voices don't just sing, they settle. They come into a room quietly, like someone who knows you're tired. They don't ask questions. They don't need answers. They just sit beside you. Elvis Presley had that kind of voice. The kind you play when the world has been too loud, when you've been holding things in all day, when you don't want to think, you just want to feel safe. And that's what this Sunday series is. Not a show, not a performance, a place, a soft place to land. So wherever you are right now, curled up, lying down, leaning back, half tired, half thinking, you're welcome here. There are some singers you admire, and then there are some singers you keep. You don't put them on to be impressed. You put them on to feel less alone. Elvis was that kind of voice. The kind that didn't interrupt your thoughts, but gently held them. The kind that didn't demand your attention, but made you feel less alone. Like someone sitting quietly in the same room, not talking, not asking, just being there. And sometimes that's all we really want. There's a certain kind of tired, not the kind that sleep fixes, the kind that comes from living, from being strong all day, from holding things in, from showing up, from trying. And when you're that kind of tired, you don't want excitement. You want gentleness. You want something that doesn't rush you, that doesn't pull at you, that doesn't need anything from you. And Elvis Presley doesn't need anything from you. He just stays. There's something about Elvis at night, in low light, when the house is still, when the world feels far away. His voice doesn't fill the silence. It softens it. It doesn't try to fix anything. It just sits with you. And I think that's why people play him when they're alone. Not because they're lonely, but because they don't want to feel empty. And Elvis never feels empty. Some people don't just exist in your life. They accompany it. You don't think about them all the time, but they're there quietly. In the background, in the atmosphere, in the way a room feels. And Elvis has become that for so many people. Not someone you had to focus on, but someone you could rest with. Like a lamp left on in the corner. Like a familiar creak in the stairs. Like the hum of a kettle before it clicks off. You don't notice it constantly, but when it's gone, you feel it. And to me, that's what Elvis feels like. Not a loud presence, a soft presence. Some voices feel bright. Some feel sharp. Some feel impressive. But Elvis's voice feels warm. Like it's already been lived in. Like it knows what it is to be tired, to be hopeful, to be soft, to be unsure. It doesn't sound like he's trying to convince you of anything. It sounds like he's telling you he understands. And that's rare. A lot of voices want something from you. Elvis's voice doesn't. It just holds space. We all have moments in life when you don't have the energy to explain. You don't want to talk. You don't want to unpack. You don't want to analyse. You just want to feel like someone gets it. Elvis gives us that feeling. Not through words, but through tone, through pacing, through gentleness, through the way he doesn't rush emotion. He lets feelings breathe. And when feelings breathe, so can you. There's something about late nights that makes everything feel closer. Thoughts get louder, memories wander in, feelings show up unannounced. And in those moments, we don't need noise. We need something that can sit with us. Elvis doesn't fill the room. He warms it. And I think that's why we turn to him late at night. Not for distraction, for company. Have you ever noticed how people talk about Elvis? Not loudly, not dramatically, softly, like they're sharing something personal. They don't say his name like a headline. They say it like a memory. And I think that tells you everything. Some voices don't just sing songs. They hold moments. They become attached to kitchens and living rooms, to long drives and late nights, to people we miss, to the versions of ourselves we don't see anymore. Elvis's voice carries a lot of memory. Not because of what he sang, but because of when he played. He was there when people were growing up, when they're falling in love, when they were heartbroken, when they were just figuring things out. And I think that's why his voice feels more than music. It feels like a doorway. You hear him, and suddenly you're not just here, you're back. There are times when sadness doesn't want fixing. It doesn't want cheering up. It doesn't want advice. It just wants to be held. Elvis doesn't try to cheer sadness away. He sits with it. He doesn't rush it. He doesn't make it smaller. He doesn't make you feel silly for having it. He lets it exist. And I think when sadness is allowed to exist, it becomes softer, easier to carry. Safety isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's quiet. It's a feeling of not being judged, of not being rushed, of not being asked to be anything else. Elvis's voice doesn't ask you to perform. It doesn't ask you to explain. It just lets you be. And that's what safety really is. Home is where you don't have to prove anything. Where you don't have to be interesting, or impressive, or productive. You can just be. And I think that's what Elvis feels like to people. Not a star, a place. A place where you can rest. People don't return to Elvis because they forget him. They return because they need him. Not in a dramatic way, in a gentle one. They come back when they're tired, when they're missing people, when they're overwhelmed, when they just want something kind. And Elvis Presley is kind. Elvis Presley didn't just sing. He created a feeling of warmth, of familiarity, of not being alone. And that feeling stayed. Long after the songs ended, long after the rooms changed, long after the years passed. And I think that's why he still feels like home. If this episode felt like a soft place to land, if it made your day feel a little quieter, a little warmer, a little gentler, then I'm really glad you're here. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and as always, keep a little Elvis magic in your heart.